Are you limiting what God wants to do in your life? Do you remember the story of the widow in 2 Kings chapter 4? She had a desperate financial need. The creditors were coming to take her sons and make them slaves. So she appealed to Elisha the prophet. And Elisha asked her, "What do you have?" And she replied, "Nothing, just a little bit of oil." And obviously she felt this little bit of oil was nothing, because what was that compared to her enormous financial need? Now it's interesting that God's solution was not to give her money or to give her food. He gave her a plan. She had to collect jars and use this oil that she considered to be insignificant and nothing to release a miracle. So she obeyed, the miracles were released, her needs were met. But there are some very interesting aspects to this story. One, she had to do something. God gave her a plan, but she had to act to release the miracle. Second, she had to use the little bit of oil that she thought was insignificant and of no value at all. She had to use it, and that released the miracle. And third, she controlled the size of the miracle because it was up to her how many jars she collected. And if she had collected an enormous number of jars, the financial miracle would have been so great she could have helped the other widows in Israel with their financial needs. Now, do you need a miracle in your life? God may be giving you a plan and waiting for you to take action. And second, God may be wanting to use something that's right in front of you, something that's in your hand, and something that you thought was insignificant, that would never help. And third, you need to raise your expectations of what God can do. Because if you just say, "Oh, that's impossible, God can never do that, I'll never get an answer," then you block what God wants to do in your life. The same way, if the widow had only had one jar, she only would have had enough oil for one jar. Raise your expectations of what God can do in your life. To live a transformed life, you need to ask God for more jars. You want the biggest miracle possible, and you don't want to limit it by low expectations. So now I want to hear from you. How has God provided miraculously for your needs? Just leave your comments in the box below. We want to hear your testimony so we can be encouraged. And if this is your first visit here, you need to get my free self-assessment guide. And to do that, just subscribe to my weekly email newsletter by filling out the subscription form, and you know where it is. It's always right there. And I'll talk to you again next week. But this week, get more jars, raise your expectation, and look for something right in front of you that you thought was useless. And God might use that for a miracle.